Hello! Thank you for joining me for a 3-for-3 lunch break at the library today. How this works for those of you who haven't seen it before or didn't participate last time is you could fill out a survey, give me 3 books you liked, and this time we added one genre of books that you didn't like, and we'll avoid that for getting recommendations. And from those 3 books you liked, we'll come up with 3 books that we think you might enjoy. So we're going to start with Iris. Now, all of these today were friends and family for me. So this is really fun when it turns out this way. So I know Iris is a really big reader, very prolific. I've known her for years because she comes to the library and for other things. But the first book on Iris's list was the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which for those of you who haven't read that, Guernsey is an island off of the coast of England, and it was actually occupied by the Nazis during World War II. And this book is a fictional story of the situation that those people were in, and it is a wonderful, wonderful book. And they started this literary and potato peel pie society so that they could get together, and they covered up a secret meeting with it. And then they end up finding that it fills their souls, brings them joy, and helps them through this hard time, keeps them together as a community, helps them to work together. So that is her first book. And her second book is The Secret Garden by F.H. Burnett. A lot of us read that as a child, or in my household, it was watched as a movie many, many, many times. It was one of my children's favorite movies about a little girl in India who then ends up when she's orphaned, being sent to her aunt and uncle in England. And life is so different there for her. But she finds a secret garden and really kind of a secret cousin and another playmate. And their story is beautiful, and it's well written, and it's great for adults or children. The next book was Now That We Are 6 by A.A. Milne. This is actually the last book in the series, the Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh series. And I love, love, love Winnie the Pooh. So Iris has gone for a lot of really classic books or classic stories. So this is what we've come up at the library for you, Iris. We've come up with the Chilbury Ladies Choir by Jennifer Ryan. This is a choir that at the beginning of World War II, because the men were leaving, they were going to close down this choir and quit doing this choir in their town that was so important to them. And the women said, wait a minute, we need this choir, we need to keep it going. And it's the story of this choir with these determined women. The next one, for The Secret Garden, I immediately thought of Anne of Green Gables, because I read those all at the same time myself, and my grandchildren, some of my granddaughters are at that age now, where those books are becoming important to them. So, but there is a series called Emily of New Moon, written also by L.M. Montgomery, and for adults, there's a book called The Blue Castle, which I love. I've read for book club. Makes a great discussion book. It is beautiful, set in a beautiful surrounding, just like The Secret Garden or the Anne of Green Gables books. So those are 2 suggestions if you like The Secret Garden like Iris does. The last one was a little harder because Winnie the Pooh is such a classic children's story. We don't often think about it for adults. But you know what? I still love Winnie the Pooh, like I said, as an adult, and love sharing it with the children in my life. So another book that I came on a few years ago is called Tales of My Father's Dragon. This is actually a trilogy. Now Iris works in the school system, and she may know this book. So I'm going to add one more, which is Toys Go Out by Emily Jenkins. Oh, Tales of My Father's Dragon is written by Ruth Stiles Gannett, and it is the story of a little boy and his father's dragon. I mean, it's magical, and there again, beautiful surroundings, all imaginary, and so fantastical. Toys Go Out, if you like the Toy Story movies, same idea. Toys come to life, they have adventures, they go to the beach, they do all kinds of things, and that is actually a trilogy too. There are 3 of those books. So those are my suggestions for Iris. Okay, this is for Tony. And I've also known Tony long before I knew she was a reader. So she gave us the 3 books of The Lemon Tree, which is a book about Arab and Israeli conflict, but it is set in a fictional setting. So you get the feel of the family and the strains that it puts on family and community to have these kind of conflicts in your community. The next one is the Molly Murphy series by Rise Bowen, and this is a historical mysteries. So that's just, you know, I love the historical mysteries. You get that little bit of historical setting and the different time and the different culture, but you also get that mystery, which is always, yeah, that always keeps my attention. The last one is Facing the Enemy. Now that one is about a lady, an English lady, who kind of goes into hiding as somebody else. And her story seems very interesting. I have not read that one, but you know, I put as many books on my list or more than you guys do when I do one of these, because I find all these awesome books. So the first one that I'm going to give Tony for the Lemon Tree is called Left to Tell, Discovering God During the Rwandan Holocaust by Immaculée Ilibagiza. I even tried to get that pronounced for me, so I hope I came close. But it is a nonfiction book about the Rwandan Holocaust. I read this many years ago with a book club. Very interesting. And in fact, one of my friends said to me, we were alive in 1994, why did we not hear about this? But it was not something that here in the United States we heard a lot about. It was a conflict between 2 ethnic groups in Rwanda, the Tutsi, which is what the family was that this author belonged to, and the Hutu group. And the Hutu group was in the majority, and they began to persecute and kill off the Tutsis. So this woman and 7 other women spend several months in a bathroom trying to stay alive. This minister hides them. And this book is a lot about forgiveness, survival, prayer, strength, determination. She teaches herself from a dictionary and I think 2 or 3 other books how to speak English in that time she spends in this little tiny bathroom with 7 other women. Just bravery and determination. And it is an awesome book. That is an awesome nonfiction book. The next one, to go with the Molly Murphy series that I chose, was While the World is Still Asleep. And this is a favorite of Kathy, our cataloger. This book is about when bicycles were becoming popular. I can't remember what country it's in, but women were not supposed to ride the bicycles, just the men. And this girl starts to ride the bicycle. And the reason why it's called While the World is Sleeping is because she has to get up in the middle of the night and ride when it's dark so that people don't see her riding. And then she gets other women to join with her, and they all start to ride bikes. And that changed. This is also, I think this might be even a 4 or 5 book series, but this is a series about these women who bring bicycle and bicycle racing to women, and comes out of the dark, basically. They are able to ride. So that is an awesome, awesome book about history, and it's not exactly a mystery, but you got all that, what are they going to do? And the men in their lives are quite oppressive and really want to keep them where they want them, and how are they going to change that? So I think it still might be one that Tony likes. Okay, for Facing the Enemy, I actually have 2 suggestions. I think I'll give them both. The Rose Code by Kate Quinn, which is set in Bletchley Park in England during World War II. Bletchley Park was a secret place for many decades. It was kept a secret because this was the place that during World War II, they broke codes from the Germans and the Japanese. So you have these cast of characters that have been brought here. They can't tell their families where they've gone. They can't tell the people in the village around them. All the people in the village around them are curious about what's going on this Bletchley Park estate, and they can't tell anybody. And then you've also got a storyline that happens years down the road to one of these women who has some mental illness in her life because of some abuse she's had, and how those other women come in and men and help her. So that is a very interesting book, and it's written by Kate Quinn. Oh, I don't think I told you. While the World is Still Asleep is written by Petra Durst Benning. So it's under Durst here at the library, though. The other one is a Tracy Hunter Abramson book, and I thought just the author alone would sound good to Tony. Many of you have read Tracy Hunter Abramson. She is a religious fiction author, and she writes thrillers. And this Undercurrents, number one, is a kind of a spy type novel. The girl is in witness protection to keep her protected because she witnessed her boyfriend's murder. She can't tell anybody who she is, and people have to come in and help her because the people who want to kill her have found her. So those should be some thrilling titles for Tony, and hopefully some of the rest of you can enjoy those as well. All right, this is a special treat for me, partly because I have Miss Karen over here.
Nice scooch in to help.
Yes.
I'm not a disembodied voice.
Okay, so I have Miss Karen here because this is my 8-year-old granddaughter that sent this one to me. So Karen actually filled this out for her. So if you've got little emergent readers in your life, listen to this.
All right, I'm sorry we're crooked. I set this up but didn't check, so we're crooked. So the first book that Olivia put on that she loves was Chickens in the Headlights by Matthew Buckley. It's a funny book, and it's also a book they're reading as a family. So it's a read aloud rather than something she's reading on her own. So a couple of, I can't just do one. I don't know how you guys do it. So I recommended a couple of read alouds that have that humor in them that I think that Olivia and her family will enjoy. The first one is Flora and Ulysses by Kate DeCamio. Super fun. Flora accidentally with the lawnmower almost runs down a squirrel, and that squirrel has superpowers, and so it's just kind of their adventures together. Super fun. I know that Michelle was telling me that her granddaughter loved that book. She called it her bed book. Yep. And so it's a great family fun, and it's funny. Another one I thought she might enjoy would be The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. It was recently turned into a movie, but the book is just wonderful. And it's kind of based on a true story of a mall zoo, I believe in the 80s, that had an elephant and a couple of other things, and how sad that existence was for that elephant. But it isn't entirely true because it is told from the elephant's point of view. So we don't really know what the elephant was thinking, but just kind of how they came to support one another when a new elephant is brought to the zoo, and that the elephant has been there, doesn't want the new baby to have that same life. So what they do. It's a great book. Yes. And then another one for a family read aloud would be Rump, The True Story of Rumpelstiltskin. A lot of humor there. It's by Liesl Shirtliff, and it's something that they've done as collaborative readings in schools. There's many of them, different fairy tale series, but really fun to read those fairy tales that are brought to life. Yes. So her second book was Fable Stables by Jonathan Auxier. It has magical creatures that solve problems. So I found lots of ones that she might enjoy with magical creatures. The Owl Diaries, they're kind of written a little bit graphic novel format. Yes, yeah. But it's just the diaries of this little school-aged owl and her adventures. So not magical, but fun. Yeah, and if you've got a little bit of a reluctant reader who looks at those long pages, breaking it up with pictures like the Owl Diaries and some of the others, it helps them not feel so intimidated. Graphic novels are a great way for kids who struggle reading to get the visual cues to what's happening in the story, and it helps them become stronger readers because they can decipher those clues. So great one. A fantasy series that she might enjoy called The Kingdom of Renly. There's a lot of books in that series. The first one's called The Lost Stone by Jordan Quinn. Just a fantasy series. I haven't actually read them, but they're really popular here, and I just think that they would be a good fit. And then the magical animal rescue books, because magical animals, and that's what Olivia liked about her other book. The first one in that series is called Maggie and the Flying Horse by Edie Baker, who writes a lot of fantasy fairy tale-ish books up in the junior fiction, but this one is more located in the emergent reading area of the library. And then her final book that she loves are the Magic Treehouse series. And I love this age because they have series, really long series, and kids once they find a book they love the familiarity, that they already know the characters, and so they like to read in those series. And so a lot of these suggestions are series books. So I'm going to recommend to her the Time Warp Trio. So in the Magic Tree House, it's some siblings who go on adventures through their Magic Tree House back in history to experience different places and times. Time Warp Trio, it's a bunch of boys who get this crazy book that when they open it, it will suck them in and take them on adventures. And the first one is The Night of the Kitchen Table, so they go back to the nights. That's a really fun series.
It is a really fun
John
series.
Schischka, the author of those, has a really funny sense of humor and a really funny writing style that's a little bit different than maybe kids are familiar with, but if they get it, they get it, and it's way fun.
Doesn't he do some picture books too?
He does picture books. We've also got collections of short stories that he does with other authors in the junior fiction called Guys Read. So they're like written for boys, because sometimes it's hard to get your boys to read. And his autobiography is hilarious, and we've got that one too. I don't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's a fun autobiography. And then the final one, so many books, but this one is called Anna Hibiscus. This is about a little girl in Africa and her adventures, and it's so fun to be able to read about a character that maybe is from a culture or a country that's different on ours, but find out they're really just the same as us. And so these ones are by Aktunuk. I think I'm saying that right. I probably am not, but that's a great little series. Just a little girl and her funny little adventures. So that's for Olivia. I hope you enjoy.
I love those illustrations. I looked up that book and thought, oh, those illustrations just are awesome. So cute, simple, but just so cute in Anna Hibiscus. So the next one is Tiffany. Tiffany likes The Wish List by Ian Colfer. Now, some of you may not have known about that book, but I personally love that book too. That is about if you die, your essence as you're going to heaven is either blue or it's red. And this girl's is purple. And so she is given the opportunity to come back and fix some of those things that will make her essence red. But if she messes up, I think it's blue. If she messes up, her essence will be red. And that's not so good. There are computer geeks. There are all kinds of things you do not expect in the afterlife. But the wish list has them. So Ian Colfer, if you've read the Artemis Fowl series, this is the same author. He is so good. Such a tech, writes about tech stuff, and so that's very interesting. Boys and girls at my house have both enjoyed that. The next one is Saving CC Honeycutt. This is a sad but really funny book, set with strong Southern women taking care of a girl whose mother has severe mental illness, and just saving her and lifting her and helping her out of a really bad spot. Dad is left, he can't handle a mental illness, and he's with another woman, and this poor girl's just kind of left in limbo, but these women take her in and love her and teach her so many sweet things. And so the characters are just quirky and feisty, and I love that book. The Hobbit, so popular, and I love the movies, and I was able to read the books because of the movies, because I could finally, understand all the different worlds and all the different characters, and it gets a little crazy. But the movies has helped us do that. So those are Tiffany's 3 books. Now, the wish list made me think this is quite a bit different than the wish list. But because of the afterlife thing, that aspect of it, I thought about Heaven Can Wait by Fanny Flagg. It's a little old lady who's doing something she shouldn't do. Once again, Southern, like her Saving CC Honeycutt, climbs up a ladder, falls out, daughter and her husband, and she goes to the hospital, and the whole idea is heaven can wait for her. But Fanny Flagg wrote, green tomatoes.
Fried green tomatoes.
Thank you, fried green tomatoes. And she just got she used to be an actress, she's got a quirky way of writing, very poignant Southern characters. Love that book. And I think that goes well, maybe, with the wish list. A little different, but I think it'd go well. Saving C. Honeycutt always brings up 2 books to mind. The Help, which I hope that you've read, and I hope you pick up if you haven't, and The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. And This book is there again, very similar to C.C. Honeycutt in that this group of black women taking this little girl whose mother has passed away and whose stepfather is cruel. But these I can't remember the connection she has to these black women, but they're three sisters, it seems like, and they take her in and take care of her. And what they teach her and the people around her and how she grows. Again, another beautiful but kind of sad book, but the girl's life has changed so much for the better. It's well worth the read. Now, we've got the third book, The Hobbit. That should be easy, right? Well, I came up with a Terry Pratchett book. They are very quirky. The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett, which is one of his Discworld series. We have one of the librarians here that loves the Discworld series. I've read a little tiny sliver of Terry Pratchett. Quirky sense of humor, science fiction, awesome. But my first thought was Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. There is an awesome, would it be considered anime movie with this? But I also read the book on Miss Karen's suggestion, and they are wonderful. And just this, there again, a little girl having adventures, doing things in a magical realm where, doesn't the house get up and walk? Okay, it's just so cool. It's so cool and so visual, especially after you've seen the movie. The other one is The Tiger's Curse by Colleen Houck. H-O-U-C-K. Don't know. That was suggested by Joy, and she loves that book, she said, and it's really good. Very similar to The Hobbit in the fantasy realm and that kind of stuff. So, you got some bonus ones there, Tiffany. Andrea's first one was 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I'm not saying that right. Anyway, so 9 Perfect Strangers. She liked the character development in that book. The next one is Apples Never Fall. She loved the twist. That is both by that same author. Now, that is a twist. That one I have read, Apples Never Fall. That was one where I got on with the other people I was reading with and said, that is not an end to this book. So, that'll get you. That one will get you. So, and the third book is Beneath the Scarlet Sky, which she loved because it's inspiring. It is a historical fiction novel, and she really liked that, about that, and how inspiring the characters were in it. So, for the first one, 9 Perfect Strangers, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I have read that. It's really good. The new husband and the stepdaughter and the stepmother are all living together. The stepfather says something cryptic and a little weird to the stepmother and disappears. And the stepdaughter is in her teens and she's upset and she's struggling, and the stepmother is upset and she's struggling, and so they go about trying to figure out what he told them, what it means. So, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Great. There again, little twist at the end. Not quite as much as Apples Never Fall, but a twist at the end, and so many adventures and mysteries to figure out along the way. For Apples Never Fall, I went with an oldie, but I can't believe the people who haven't read it, and I say that tongue-in-cheek because I hadn't read it till about 5 or 6 years ago. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Some of you had to read that in high school, but I didn't, and it's awesome, and I could never figure it out, and the end is almost bizarrely, oh, you're kidding, that's how that all worked out, and so good. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie, so that book was a good one for me and has a great twisty end. Now, I want to throw in an extra one here, Mrs. Christie's Mystery by Marie Benedict. She's a historical fiction writer. She takes women from history that haven't had their stories told and tells their story. I've suggested this, recommended this book many, many, many times. I love it because it has Agatha Christie. And one of my favorite things about Agatha Christie is she disappeared for 10 days. And this is this author's idea of what may have been going on with Agatha Christie for those 10 days, because nobody ever knows. She wouldn't tell. She didn't talk about it in her autobiography. Nothing. Nobody knows for sure where Agatha Christie was for 10 days. That's a good one. Okay, the other one was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is an awesome Second World War set in France. I had no idea what happened in France till I read this book. I was a history major, but they covered it quick. France was taken quickly, blah, 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 and we went on. And it all just fell in with the rest of the stuff. This is taken from the perspective of two sisters, one who goes into the rebellion and one who stays because she was a school teacher, had a daughter of her own, and tries to save some of the Jewish children. And the hardships for both these women are astronomical. And amazing women, and they come full circle and come back together at the end. So the last one is Carly. And her first book was We're All the Same in the Dark by Julia Hepperlin. Don't know much about that, but I know Carly likes to read a little twisty thriller, a little more than a mystery. She likes it to get a little uptight and scary. So I'm guessing that it would be something like that. The next one is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That is a weird book, but fascinatingly weird and very enjoyable. And if you want something different that your book club has never ever read before, anything like this book is it. So different, so weird, set in the South. Wow, we had a great discussion, and that is by Grady Hendrix. The next book, her third book, is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This book is quirky, kind of a ghost story or a zombie story. And interestingly, even though I've read it with the book club, Carly got out of it that the story was about a mother's undying love and that she would go to any length to be with her daughter, and the problem that creates for the community. And so that was very interesting because that's not what I saw in it. But such a good story, old wives' tale, old magic, and scary things. So the first one, I wanted to mention Sharon McCrum. She is more of a mystery writer, but in her, and I can't remember what the series is now, but she has an older series that I love. It's with a sheriff and his two deputies in a town up in Appalachia, and the people they meet are just quirky and different and kind of sinister sometimes. But Nora Bonesteel is the character that I love the most. She sees ghosts, and sometimes she can help them figure out things because of the things the ghosts tell her or point her to. So I wanted to bring those up because that's a fairly long series. They are a little harder to find now, and she has a couple of other series, but I do love Sharon McCrum. So Find Her by Lisa Gardner, that vigilante justice thriller, crime mystery, kidnapping, that kind of stuff. All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers, who is a true crime podcaster. Creepy, but twist. So many twists and so many good characters that she does a great job of filling out character development. Loved that one. Okay, for the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert, Mothers, Daughters, Witchcraft, Supernatural, Alternating Voices, all those things we love about twisting and turning stories. So the last one is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. So Karen actually did this one for me because she's more of the thriller type stuff.
And actually Crooked Hearts is kind of about that horror element and that connection with mother-daughter. So that actually may work with that one.
That may work with this, The Winter People. But she put one on here because she had not read The Winter People. She put one on here that I love. I love this book. It is a nonfiction. It's called The End of Your Life Book Club by Will Schwalbe. I can't say his last name. He's got two books out now. Can't remember the second one. These are both kind of older books, though. He is a journalist or a writer of some kind. Anyway, this is him reading books with his mother while he takes her to chemotherapy. So they read a book together, Then they go to chemotherapy and they discuss that book. Beautiful story. It will add to your TBR list. You get a notebook, because so many good books. Both his mother, and he are both very well educated. They're reading classics. They're reading big, thick doorstop books. They're reading all over, because they're both picking the books. They're reading all over the spectrum. Awesome. That is an awesome one. Okay, so there is duology, you said?
Yeah, this is just a final. Sorry, I'm here. But so Carly likes the spooky, the horror, and I do too. And this is one that I really enjoyed. It's a young adult duology called All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody. The books are All of Us Villains and All of Our Demise. It's set in a world where there's magic, and 7 families kind of are the ones who control the highest magic. But every generation, so about every 20 years, a blood veil falls. And that means that each of these families have to basically sacrifice one of their children to fight to the death for the power of this magic. And it's about these 7 kind of lambs to the slaughter. And they've been raised to be villains. They've been raised to be ruthless so that they can fight for this magic. And you get all of their perspectives and the backgrounds and those familial relationships that have created them, and they're complex and hard. And then the relationships they create with each other while doing this, and if they can overcome this curse. Anyway, I just felt like that was something that Carly might enjoy.
I think that's great, and I've been hearing about this. I listened to a few book podcasts. I've been hearing about this book lately too. That whole magic, Hunger Game-ish type things.
And with no heroes. It's a really interesting take on the villains.
Awesome. So that is our 3 for 3 for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We've had a ball, and like I said, I've added to my TBR list. Can you get in here and say goodbye?
It is really fun to do this.
It is. So we'll do this again another time. Be sure to pay attention. Watch for these surveys to come up on Facebook and to be here in the library. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.